IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good evening once again, and welcome to the 14-minute version, otherwise known as the 395th episode of the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com. You're in, as you may know by now, to All Natural Being and the gong heard around the world. Gong, say hello, as you just did. The gong heard around the world. Broadcast as it happens. I want to make sure here I got everything going right. Broadcast as it happens, thanks to our good friends at Telestream's Wirecast, right? Broadcast as it happens right here from the traditional transitional radio uplink here in Columbus, Ohio, directly to IPMNation.com and multicast live on Facebook, over on AllNaturalBeing.com, on our Brian Brawdy app. It's rebroadcasted on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. If those are your favorites, you can check us out there. Greetings wherever you are, here in the garden of the mortals, the labyrinth of life itself. The ups and downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves, the flukes, the whims. You gotta love the whims. The sheer havoc of the synchronicity and serendipity of it all. Blind alleys and cul-de-sacs, we got them all. Never a dead end until ultimately you decide to tap out. You know, I was in line at the store today and someone asked me, said, "Oh, I know who you are." They asked me, "Could you give me a quick elevator pitch on the meaning of life?" And I said very simply, always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list. Always calling on the true wit and wisdom and wallop of your inner whisper, not some watered-down version of yourself. Who said you'd ever have to take the tepid approach to life, to running this reality that we call living? No way you're here to be tepid. You're here to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate can deal us, maybe for some it hasn't, but can deal us on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold once and for all. What would be wrong with that? Before we hit it this evening, as I said, our 14-minute abbreviated version, a quick hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, those in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, and France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, and Puerto Rico, Kenya. I'm laughing thinking, can I talk faster to get more into the 14 minutes? Netherlands, Iran, Colombia, Greece, Ireland, Argentina, Peru, Austria, Poland, to those joining us from all over the globe. It really is great to have you with us. See what I mean? You can speak faster, maybe I can pack more in. It's 14-minute fireside chat. I truly am fired up today to be driving your bandwagon, to be your virtual hitchhiker. If you're out and about on the go, most certainly. And you know what I love about riding shotgun is getting to hang with you. So what are we waiting for? Here's your opportunity to mortal up, because it's time to love the way you think, to dig the way you see life. It's time to be your all-natural being. It's time for you to bring your grit, your unique grit, to the relentless grip of life. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And now, just a few minutes, we have an abbreviated show tonight because our good friend Henry G. Noel at Thinking Re-Envisions is a very special guest tonight and required a full 45 minutes to be able to get in Thinking Re-Envisions, which normally comes on right at 8:30 Eastern Time here in Transitional Radio, as you know. But tonight, it's going to be coming on at 8:15. Got to watch the clock. 8:15 for a 45-minute, as I said, very special episode of Thinking Re-Envision. And then at 9 o'clock, dun, da, da, dun, da, da, da. Yeah, I don't know why Hail to the Chief just came to my mind when I think of this guy, but Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy is going to be here in the studio with a very special guest. We'll just get an action-packed evening here at Transitional Radio, thanks to our good friends at IPMNation.com. All right, I want to hop into the thread quickly just so we can say hello, see who's here, and then tee it up for this evening because I just have a quick little question for us all this evening. Let me make sure I got the volume turned down. Yeah, very high production value here, as I've said before in the show. But see, look. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that even speaks to the time delay. Let me say hello to Wayne. Wayne, nice to see you. Marcia, thank you so much for joining us. Sarah, hey to you as well. I hope you're back from your road trip and that everything went well. Thank you for joining us here. An abbreviated version of All Natural Being. You know, someone really did ask me today, what do you think of the meaning of life? And another thing that came up in the conversation is, why do you always say mortal up? And I go, well, because I think being mortal gets a bad rap. When you look at the chances of any single one of us, right, any one of us being here, I think we've talked about it before, 3 trillion to 1. The chances of you not being here are so much greater than the fact that you arrived. Thank you, Wayne, very much. He says 8:15 this evening, facebook.com/Thinking Re-Envisioned official. 8:15 now, just a few minutes away. Be able to tune into the very special show, and we'll be back at 9 o'clock, top of the 9 o'clock hour for Copy That Speaks. But here's the question in the closing 7 minutes that we have. What are you doing about the opportunity? What are you doing to take this chance of this little thing we called life? And of all the potential that didn't make it to be mortal, all the individual energies that didn't congeal to make it here as its own part of a unique thread of DNA. Well, you did make it here. And I think what happens at times is being mortal gets a bad rap. Oh, one day we're going to die. Yeah, there's an hourglass. And it's running out on all of us. So you can afford to look at that. I'm not going to stand here with an hourglass for the whole thing. You guys get it, right? Right? We could stand here and go, oh, the sand, it's going to run out any time now. We could be, we could go on to the next gig. Absolutely true. So what are you doing with this particular gig? What are you doing with your life before this sand in your hourglass, your day, your week, your month, your year, your decade glass, whatever it is? What are you doing with this particular life? And that's why I think being mortal is such a great gig, because this is your opportunity. And I think about it every time you hear about someone that's gone on to the next gig. People don't remember them very long. Right? We're not remembered forever. But what they will remember is the energy that we brought to this particular moment in all of time. So again, I would ask, what are you doing with this run at life? What are you doing to mortal up? What are you doing to put your heart's highest priority top of the list? Maybe, as I've often said, maybe it's a function of a bit of amnesia. Maybe we've forgotten about our natural resources, about our grit, our agility, our stamina, to continue in the face of sometimes what seems like insurmountable odds. And that's why I'm so excited about our guest tonight. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my friend Susan. I was thinking about her as we were doing this pre-show interview. Our guest tonight on Copy That Speaks, really going to be something else. And you're going to go, what do I have to complain about in life? When you look at what our guest is able to do day in and day out with some of the things, some of the ways that fate has attempted to chop block her, but she brings it to the game. She brings it to the paint every time. She doesn't tuck her tail between her legs, doesn't sit in the corner and cower, cry and whine about, what did fate do to me? She goes, hey, this is the hand that I've been dealt, and here's what I'm going to do to mortal up. So I think you're going to be really excited about our guest this evening, 9 o'clock copy that speaks. Sarah says, yep, we are specks on a little speck. Happy to have made it. You're absolutely right. And when you look at just how little a speck our planet is, right? And ultimately the Milky Way, and then ultimately the universe itself, you go, yeah, anything that we can do to use this particular moment in all of time to mortal up. Good evening, Henry. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. Whatever we can do in this particular moment of time. So that's the question. What are you doing with this little bag, this little skin bag of energy you call your life? What are you doing to make an impact on yourself, on your own reflection in the mirror? What are you doing to make an impact on those around you right now? Instead of saying, oh, we're mortal, I'm not going to live forever, the hourglass is going to run out before too long. What are you doing to take advantage of every grain of sand that slips through that hourglass? And when you look at it, that you and I have a finite amount of time to make our mark while we're here on this planet. We didn't have to be here at all. So what are you going to do with that finite amount of time? What are you going to do to put your heart's highest priority top of the list? What are you going to do to make an impact on the people around you? How are you going to use those unique energies that have come together in this particular moment of all of time to be you? And that's what I think the definition of mortal up is, as I remember saying today in a line at the store. Mortal up is to take full advantage of the fact that you were dropped here on, as Sarah says, this little speck in the first place, that you were dropped here and given a shot at life. As I call it in the open each evening, the garden of the mortals, the labyrinth of life itself. And I posted up a little thing today on Facebook and over on Twitter. It says, you're smarter than you think, you're stronger than you think. And that's absolutely true. So blending all of those strengths, blending all of those abilities, what are you going to do to make an impact? What are you going to do to make an impression on them on this particular moment that is uniquely you? And I guarantee it's going to put a smile on your face. When that happens, when you rise to the challenge that is the moment at hand, and you bring all of your natural resources, you bring your grit, you bring your agility, you bring your stamina, your strength, however you define your natural resources. Wayne Knoll gives me the big 2. What do you think is going to happen? Like when you put a magnifying glass, and magnify the rays of the sun, hits a particular piece of paper and the paper catches on fire. What are you going to do when you take that same philosophical magnifying glass, put through it the beam of your own unique DNA? What's it going to set on fire around you? What's it going to be? And only you know. Given that you and I are here for a limited amount of time, what are we going to do in that limited amount of time to light the world on fire? Sarah says, learn trapeze and make my family happy. Learn trapeze. I saw some of the pictures. Trust me, Sarah, I know my brother, you learn trapeze. He will be happy, at least that part of your family. I saw the pictures of you on the trapeze. That would make you happy. Thank goodness you got like 375,000 acres up in where you are. You could definitely put a trapeze and maybe even a zip line. How cool would that be? All right, as much as I love the idea of toying with Wayne, and then I'm waiting here in the thread for Wayne to go, 1 minute. I'd like to leave you with that question before we get ready to toss it over to Thinking Re-Envisioned with the incomparable Henry Noel and his guest this evening. What are we going to do to light up this moment in all of life? What are we going to do to put your heart's highest priority top of your list? That's what truly matters. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. As much as I'm waiting for Wayne to flash me a 1, we're going to go ahead and make this a little easier. We'll get out of here. All right, good luck to our friend Henry Noel and Thinking Re-Envisioned over the next 45 minutes. A spectacular show. Wait till you hear the story of Jeffrey and a little bit about you. You're just going to absolutely love this. Then at 9 o'clock, we'll be back. Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy will be with us with just an absolutely fantastic guest. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We will see you in a little bit. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being.
IPMNation.com.